Okay, hi. I think people are joining us now for our Workforce Optimisation webinar. I'm Catherine and I work at TCN here in the UK. We're just going to give people a few moments to keep logging in, start a moment or two after two to make sure that everyone's got in. So thanks for coming if you're here with us and you're joining our Precision and Protection Mastering UK Compliance with AI-driven Workforce Optimisation. So I'll just give everyone a little moment and then I'll start the introductions. Okay, so welcome everyone. I hope everyone's got in. If they haven't, keep joining and I'll give you some little updates as we go through. But our webinar today is going to be discussing our workforce optimization solution and all of the features that can help your business be more efficient and stay on top of things. So we're really excited to dive in. But before we get started, I just want to give you a few housekeeping items. So we are recording this webinar and we will give access to everyone that's joined it afterwards so you can watch again at your leisure. Or you can ask your account manager for direct access over the next few days. Also, during the webinar, if you have any questions as we go along, please utilise the chat function. There will be a question and answer opportunity at the end of the webinar where we'll go through any questions. But if you do have anything as we go through, put them in the chat and we will try and address them. So we're going to be addressing the specific and common concerns and challenges surrounding workforce optimization in the webinar today, including conversational analytics, redaction, quality evaluations, and more. So we've got two wonderful presenters today. Let's have a meet of them. We've got Emma Reynolds and Scott Brownlee. So Emma Reynolds is one of our UK account managers and business development representatives at TCN. She's got years of experience in helping TCN clients optimize their processes and achieve seamless operational efficiency. Emma is really passionate about fostering strong client relationships, and this is fueled by her commitment to offering tailored solutions for long-term growth. And we're really glad that she is part of our team. We're also lucky to have Scott Brownlee with us today, who's the subject matter expert for workforce optimization at TCN, and he's based in the US, so he'll have a slightly different accent, which you may pick up. He's got 30 plus years of first and third party operational management, and Scott has driven process improvements to increase revenue and profitability while simultaneously reducing costs for every organization he has been part of. And we're so glad he's on our team as well. So let's have a look at the agenda for today. So we are going to give you an overview of TCN Operator and review the core question of what is workforce optimization, followed by a look at workforce optimization features and client use cases. And finally, we'll wrap up with the question and answer session. But just to remind you, if you do have any questions as we go along, feel free to pop them in the question and answer and we will try and get to them as we go. So now we're going to hand it over to Emma and Scott, and they'll give us a look at the product and help us understand what is workforce optimization.
Thanks, Kath. So I will start with a little bit of information about Operator and TCN as a whole. So TCN is a unified platform made up of these main 5 parts, as shown here. We take pride on every part of this wheel, as each part is TCN homegrown. This is important to us and to our clients, as we can cover all critical functions needed through one platform, all under one roof. Today, we'll be reviewing the workforce optimization slice of the pie. And on the next slide, it shows all of the TCN Operator products and features. As you can see, this is a lengthy list here. And AI runs through a lot of our products so far. We have got other AI features coming out shortly, which is exciting. But there's lots going on here, lots of our products all under one roof. This document and other information like this is also available on our website for you to have a look at as well, at tcn.com. But for now, I'd like to pass over to Scott to show you all exactly what workforce optimization is all about and all the important features under that remit. So over to you, Scott.
Well, thank you, Emma, and good afternoon, everyone. For me, the sun's just coming up because I'm outside of Phoenix, Arizona. But I want to talk to you about our workforce optimization platform, and it has a lot of moving parts that you can see here on the screen. I'm going to start with redaction, and then we'll get into all of the actual kind of fun stuff. And workforce optimization, conversation analytics is all post-call work. So we have a little differentiator, though, between others in the space, people like Prodigal, CallMiner, KG Hawes Voice Trails that do post-call conversation analytics. They take your calls at the end of the day, they transcribe and analyze overnight so that when you come in tomorrow morning, you get to look at yesterday. With TCN Operator, WFO, we're a little different in that as soon as an agent leaves wrap up on a call, we begin to transcribe and analyze. And the base piece of all of the parts is really that transcription. And transcription accuracy is something that really, really plays into how well workforce optimization works. And if I'm not mistaken, I think that you folks in the UK recently did a case study on the accuracy of transcription. Could you talk about that a little?
We did, yes. And actually, it's one of my favorite stories, to be honest, Scott. I was with a client in Glasgow, and as a lot of people know, there's some difficult accents out there in the UK. There's a huge variation of accents. And I was talking about workforce optimization, and we had said we'll turn it on, let some data run through there, let some calls run through. And the following day, I went into the office and I said to the client, "Hey, let's pick a random call, listen to that transcription. Which call do you want to pick?" And he sort of laughed, and I was like, "Oh no." And he said, "We'll pick this agent. She's got the most Glaswegian accent." He said, "Sometimes I can't understand her." And I was like, "Okay." So we clicked on this call. It was a good lengthy call, I think it was around 7 minutes. And the agent, Glaswegian, and the customer was Northerner, a very strong Yorkshire Northern accent. So there was two completely different accents there, and the transcription picked it up word for word. And I must admit, I was a little bit shocked. And my client at the time actually asked me if I had typed it up in my hotel room the night before. He was so shocked that it was word for word. So yeah, I mean, it sold itself really. I didn't have to do any of the selling aside.
Awesome. Well, so for me, I'd much rather show something and see something than talk about something. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and give a high level little overview of our workforce optimization platform. Bear with me just a moment. Okay. So everybody see that okay? We good? All right. So I am in a demo account in TCN Operator that is basically a fictional collection agency here in the US. So where I'm going to start is I'm going to start with redaction. And redaction is important because we want to have PCI compliance, and we also want to ensure certain regulatory things or personal identifiers can be removed based on your policies, procedures, and work instructions at your own organization. So for redaction, we can redact all numeric data. I don't recommend doing that. We get a lot of good information that's numeric that we want to keep, things like new phone numbers, corrected addresses, and importantly, the amount of a payment. There's issues here in the US. I'm not sure how prevalent it is for y'all, but people may pay something on the last day of the month to avoid additional enforcement action, and maybe they pay 500, and then they go and do a chargeback saying they only authorize 50. So if you redact everything, you won't have them saying, yes, I authorize 500. So it's good to not redact everything. So we have targeted redaction rules that you can build custom to your needs for redaction. I'm going to just build a couple here really quickly, and then I'm going to talk about them. So I just created two very simple targeted redaction rules. And essentially this first one is for credit card. And I start with 15 digits, meaning we're looking for a sequence of 15 digits in a row in a conversation. And when we find that, we're going to go ahead and redact it. So 15 is Amex, the American Express card. This will also redact because we're saying at least all of those accounts that are 16 digits, which are Visa, MasterCard, and Discover, and a lot of JCB. I know some JCB can go up to 18 digits, I believe, so it would capture those as well. But a consumer, when they're giving our agents a card number, they do stuff like 4128, 2211, those ums and ahs, they break up the number string. So we have a very fancy feature that we have named slot. And what that does is it allows us to discount and ignore those innocuous utterings that the consumer may make while they're reading that card number. And then it allows us to continue and redact that card number so that you are within PCI compliance. And using redaction, as opposed to giving an agent control to pause a recording for a card number, helps. It takes one less thing off of the agent's plate. They don't have to do that. But the other thing is you have greater control of your agents, because if they have a pause feature, they can use it whenever they want. And so you can exercise that control to make sure that you're getting everything recorded the way you want. The second rule is exactly 9. And it actually does a couple of things. For us in the US, it's going to take out a consumer social security number. We're big on doing last 4 digits of your social security number to verify that they're the correct party. And then you have someone that does 123558811. And we don't want to keep that in because that's a personal identifier that we're required in the US to take out. But for you folks in the UK, bank routing numbers are typically 9 digits, and so this will actually take care of that as well. And then we'll put some sequence breaks in, routing numbers sets of 3, social security numbers of 3, 2, 4, but essentially it's going to get rid of both of those. So that's where we started with redaction. Recently, we've added an AI model on top of it to help add context and do some collateral redaction to make sure that we're really redacting what we need to redact and not things that we don't. So we use the Presidio Financial Services model in the background here. And for this particular setup, I would check CS, the credit card. I want to check the social security number, and I want to check the bank number. We also have certain things that are specific to UK that may be personal identifiers that you want to remove. We can build those targeted numeric rules and then apply for your NHS and NI numbers in the background. So that's as simple as redaction is. You turn that on and we're going to put you into PCI compliance and also regulatory compliance and keep things out of your recordings you don't want in them. So from here, I'm just going to go up to my navigation menu, come under our Workforce Engagement Suite, and choose Workforce Optimization. This is the landing page for Conversation Analytics. And basically what will happen in a live account is the most recent 7 days of calls that have been transcribed and analyzed will show up here. So Conversation Analytics rests on 2 pillars. The first are filters, and the second will be flags. And so I'm going to start with filters because we have our entire call set, and we're going to narrow with filters. Where do we want to look in our call set, and what do we want to look for? So we can use different date ranges. We choose the kinds of conversation, whether they're outbound or inbound. And in this example, I'm just choosing my outbound. TCN has unique identifiers for the recordings. You can actually find a specific recording with that. Same for the caller ID of your consumer, all calls to and from. Our hunt groups allow us further searches along with agent skills. And you can even choose an agent or a set of agents to examine their calls. And then lastly, we get down to a campaign level. From there, it's where else do we want to look? We default to both sides of the call. Sometimes we only want to be looking at our agent, others, we may only want to look at the consumer, but I'm going to choose my agent. Now I've decided where that I'm looking, what do I want to look for? And we have two types of searches and filter building that we do. First here is words. So I'm just going to put in a couple of words. Oh, I got to learn how to type. Sorry. And I'm going to add those. So essentially, I'm looking right now at my outbound call types, my agent side of the conversation, and I'm looking for my agent to say one of those three words, which is an extremely loose version of a call recording disclosure on an outbound call. And if I apply that to the table, I get calls back. I can choose any one. And when we have a match, we're going to highlight that for you. While I'm in here, agents are in orange in the transcript and the call recording, and the consumer side is in blue. So we were looking on the agent side for this, and we found it. But do I really want to look for things that my agent's supposed to do? And yay, they're doing it? I might, but I'm probably more interested when my agent doesn't provide that call recording disclosure on an outbound call, because it could put me at risk. So I'm going to just open this back up. I'm going to turn this on to exclude. And now I'm going to get calls that are outbound where my agent doesn't say any of those words. And I can grab a call. So we don't highlight anything because we're looking for something that's missing. So there's nothing to highlight. But I can see here in my two snippets of agent conversation, they didn't say any of those words. So that's a way that we can find the exceptions for you when your agents aren't doing things you need them to do with a word search. So quickly, I'm going to come up here. I'm going to come back and grab my inbound calls. The second way we do things are phrases. So this isn't going to be exactly applicable for everyone in the UK, but I'm going to put in a script that an agent here in the US would have to follow. And basically, once the agent confirms a right party, they need to advise that person that they're a debt collector, they're attempting to collect a debt, and any information obtained used for that purpose. So I need all of these to be there. I'm going to hit the and then to say I'm looking for calls on my agent side where all of these are said. But that should only be said by the agent when they have a confirmed right party. So in order to help filter out some of those other misses, we're able to use metadata that is from multiple sources and determine that I'm going to put in an agent disposition equaling an RPC, which in my account here is right party. So now I'm limiting that search to calls where they are the actual confirmed right party. And if I apply that to the table, I can grab one of these, and you can see here, I'm a debt collector, attempt to collect a debt, and information obtained used for that purpose. Again, that's my agent doing what I want them to do. And I'm more concerned because I could get sued here if that's missing on a call. So if I open this back up, and I'm going to exclude this, but I'm going to change my and to or, because if any one of the parts of the disclosure are missing, it's a compliance miss and it puts me at risk. So if I come back in here and let me grab a call. Again, we're looking for things missing, so we're not highlighting. But when I come down here, I can see my agent did say, I am a debt collector. This is an attempt to collect a debt. They left out that third part of any information obtained. So as a manager, when I'm looking at calls here in Conversation Analytics, I can create learning opportunities for my agent by simply hitting this plus sign. And I'm just going to title this one so that we know that it's the one that I'm just doing. And I'm not going to worry about my typing, but a manager just puts their feedback in and they hit add and that disappears. So that goes right to the agent. So I'm going to quickly go out and log in and be the agent, and it's going to just take me a sec to get logged in. Okay, so I'm now in my agent screen and I am an agent waiting for a call. I'm going to put myself on pause just in case I were to get calls while I'm looking. I'm in my voice channel. If I were doing live chat, conversational SMS, or conversational emails, I would be in my text channel. And here is my agent portal that has learning opportunities. So I'm just going to choose that. This lets me know since I'm going into a training session, I won't be able to make or take calls. And I, as an agent, have an awful lot of training opportunities. So I probably would not even be working somewhere if I had this many, but it's just because it's a demo account. So I want to go to the ones that I haven't completed, and we're going to limit that view for the agent. So it's only the ones they haven't reviewed. I choose that little eye locator. And as you can see, I have that orange one, status open. So the agent does 1 click, 2 clicks. And what we do is we highlight the transcript section that the manager is providing that coaching or feedback. We move the waveform of the recording to that spot in the call so that the agent is able to both read what was being said, listen to what's being said, and then here is that feedback that the manager provided. So once that's done, the agent just has to hit this little thumbs up. They've completed that training, and they could go back into their voice channel and go back to taking and making calls. So I'm going to just hop back into Workforce Optimization, and I'm going to bring this back. So what we do is we custom build this platform to specifications. We have a suggestion map of various phrases, words that we want to look for. We have some UK specific ones. I've got several different things here, but if I grab one here, this is for vulnerabilities. And we also have complaint and affordability and consequences language. But essentially, we give that map to you, take out things that you don't want, add things in that are specific to your organizational needs, give it back to us, and then we build. Because we're going to build saved filters for you so you don't have to continually repeat searches, number one. But secondarily, we use connecting filters to create flags to put a call into a reporting scheme for you. So just very quickly, I'm going to show you my bankruptcy 1 filter. And here I'm just looking for the words bankrupt or bankruptcy. But then in my bankruptcy 2 filter, I'm looking for the phrases that are the various chapters here in the US of bankruptcy that could be filed. And then what we do is we create a flag. So I have a bankruptcy mention flag. If I open this, you can see that I'm just basically saying if there's anything from that save filter bankruptcy 1 or save filter bankruptcy 2 on a call, I want to put a bankruptcy mention flag on that call. And that puts it into reporting, but it also allows us for certain flags, if you want to, we can notify a manager as soon as that call has been analyzed. Now, if we remember, it's very much post-call, but we start processing as soon as the agent leaves wrap up. So it might be 40 minutes, it might be 45 minutes, it could be 5, it depends on traffic in the engine. But we're going to be able to notify a manager that there's a call that needs their attention, not tomorrow, but definitely today and within an hour or so. So the robber left the bank for sure, but the witness recollection will still be fresh. The agent will not have had that many calls in between committing the transgression and the manager being able to see it. And the way we notify managers is here in room 303. This is our kind of basic version of a Slack chat or Teams chat. Yes, you can build those rooms and threads and have all of those. Most people prefer to use Slack or Teams for that. But the operator chat room, it actually is where our manager gets notifications of calls that need attention. So we filter these in as a call is analyzed, transcribed. If it has a notification flag, it's going to pop right here. So we give the manager the date and time, the name of the flag that they're supposed to be looking at, and then we give a hyperlink to that call so they can click, puts them on the call summary line. They can hover here to see any others that might be there, but they just have to click here, put them in the call, come to the right side, click that flag that they're looking for. We're going to highlight everything. So basically a manager from the notification in 3 clicks can be in the spot of the call that matters. And this happens to be a short one, but if this was 5 minutes into a 7-minute call, they can skip that first 5 minutes and get right to the matter that is actually of concern for them to look at. A couple of other things that I want to show you here in Conversation Analytics. We started with voice. And essentially, sorry, I got to reapply that. All of our customers use voice, but our platform handles much more than voice. So I'm going to come in and grab my SMS and live chat filters and also switch to my live chat and SMS conversations. So we are able to bring in your live chats, your conversational SMS conversations, and actually analyze those as well. So we can create filters and flags for the text-based conversations as well as the voice-based conversations, and allow you to analyze all of those live chats that your agents are doing and those SMS conversations they're having. So another piece here on the right side, this is something that's newer for us, but you see these little faces, and we have a tan kind of neutral face, a red unhappy face, and then some green happy faces. Our first version of conversations sentiment is out, and what we're doing is we're aggregating in a conversation the consumer side of that conversation, the overall percentages, and where they may change from neutral to negative, negative to positive. You can kind of hone in on those, and we do the same for the agent. So, I mean, for me, a single conversation and the sentiment of it may not be all that intuitive. But when we get to the reporting piece here at the end, I'll show you where we can aggregate the agent's day, their week, or their month, all of those consumers they talk to, and all of their reactions to those consumers. So when you're able to view an agent in the aggregate on sentiment, it can give you some good insights on how to actually maybe help coach that agent if they're not being as professional or as friendly as you want them to be. And I have one more thing I want to show you in here before we move to our scorecards. And I'm going to find a longer call here. This is really a coming attraction, but I have it in my account. So I do want to show you because it is coming to a theater near you soon. This is a very long conversation. It's about 6 minutes long, and there's an awful lot going on in this call. So here in the US, healthcare debt is the biggest vertical of debt collection and has the most accounts and the most dollars, billions of dollars, millions of accounts. But this account discusses insurance. So I've got group numbers, ID numbers, phone numbers, dates of service, and amounts in here. Our agents have to put notes in the system. So typically what they're going to have to do is they have to talk while they're typing, or they can wait till the end and type everything in. Talking and typing, it does reduce wrap up, but if my agent's spending a lot of time worrying about the typing, they could miss something from the consumer that could help them resolve the account better. And if it's wait till the end, when you have a lot of detailed information, alphanumeric things that aren't just, hey, I'm recapping a conversation, but I need that specific data, it's a matter of when, not if, they're not going to get that right. So our first generation of summarization is out, and our AI model here is taking those long transcripts and boiling it down to a very succinct set of standardized notes. So this isn't cool yet. It's a coming attraction. But as we move towards real time in our platform, our goal is to put this to be agent facing when we're in real time. They'll have a copy button. They'll be able to hit copy, hit paste, and put those notes right into the CRM, and probably save about 35% of their wrap up time a day, which allows them to be that much more productive in a day. So that's the high level look at this part of our application, which is the conversation analytics. From here, I'm going to touch on our scorecards a little bit, and we have two types. So I'm going to just show a template of a quality evaluation. When we have our scorecards, we're able to bring in calls, and managers are able to evaluate those agents on those calls. And most people have some type of a platform that they do that on regularly. It's an Excel spreadsheet or something. But I'm going to open up this template, and this scorecard has different sections: greeting, compliance, rules. We can build these exactly to your specifications. So in each section, I have questions. We have yes and no answers. And Agent's doing great here in theory, but we get to this. We can have incorrect answers fail a section. We can have egregious incorrect answers auto-fail a scorecard. When something isn't applicable, as an example, we have statutes of limitations here in the US. So after a certain number of years, a consumer is no longer liable for that debt just because of the statute of limitations. So if I'm talking about a debt that's only a few years old, it's 2 years old, it's still within statute. So this wouldn't really apply. We don't want to penalize agents for not being able to have a correct answer. So we have non-applicable toggles we can toggle on. And for that specific evaluation of that particular call only, we'll remove that question from that evaluation so they're not penalized because we take the possible points out. And then lastly, one thing I want to show you is we can also include multiple correct answers. So this one happens to be around electronic communication and consent, and we need consent to use those methods here in the US. I want my agent to do pre-recorded artificial voice. I want them to get SMS consent. I also want them to get email consent. Well, maybe they did 2 out of 3, so we can award partial credit. And that's just basically the template. Evaluations happen here in quality evaluations. Managers just hit the plus sign and open up a scorecard. And we're going to give that manager the number of calls for each agent that they want to evaluate. For example, you do 5 per agent per month. If Emma was one of my agents and I'd already done 5 for Emma, I'm not going to present any more calls for Emma to a manager because she's done for the month. But I'm going to just hop into one of these and we'll take a look at it. We give the manager the call recording, the transcript, some basic metadata, and also some sentiment. This is a very short scorecard because watching someone fill these out is not extremely exciting, I don't imagine. But this one is done already, and the agent failed this one. So most agencies are going to have conversations with agents on evaluations. They're not going to just do them and say, okay, well, boo-hoo, this is it. So if Emma's my agent and I'm going through this call with her on this last question, I feel she didn't identify the square correctly. So Emma convinces me during our discussion that she did, and I made a mistake in my evaluation. So I can come up here as a manager. I can change my answer. I can put some comments in, and then I can update that score. And Emma went from fail to pass. So you can handle those actual pieces of agent interaction. And you're also able to give the agent a PDF of the actual, and I'm going to have to drag that over. Sorry, kids. There we go. So you're able to print these if your agents are in office and you have agent sign and manager sign. If your agents are hybrid or remote, you can send these. If you need electronic signature, you could do DocuSign, CongaSign. I have customers that do that. Many will just get on a Teams call or get on a Slack huddle, go through these calls with their agents and keep these completed. And then they will do the PDFs, give a copy to the agent, and then just file a copy. But that's our human completed quality evaluation. I'm going to come back to my scorecard library for a moment. And I'm going to get rid of all my quality evaluations. We've recently introduced our first version of an AI completed scorecard as well. So I'm going to just preview one of these. And this is essentially the same scorecard that we just looked at that's completed by a human. And this one's completed by Skynet, and the AI will actually grade the call based on the questions and where we're telling it to look in the conversation. And the way these look, I'll come out here and get one. Very similar to the quality because they're in that same kind of structure. It's just there's no real editing here because it's completed by AI. Here in the US especially, we don't have a lot of guardrails around AI yet. So Customers are using this to establish baselines of agent behavior in the background, and it helps them then determine where they want to do human completed evaluations. And because of no guardrails, I would recommend to customers to not use the smart evaluation in conjunction with personnel actions. So if you're putting someone on a performance improvement plan or a progressive discipline plan, you probably want to have an actual human completed evaluation. So what we have done is we've created this little checkbox here. You can go out and grab the corresponding human completed evaluation and go ahead and actually bring that in. And this probably won't work on my account right now because I'm doing something that I've already done. So apologize, limits of a demo account, right? But essentially, we're going to present a manager with the human completed version of the AI completed scorecard so that you can have that actual human piece for your actual personnel actions. So it looks like we've got a question. So I'm going to stop here. How does the transcription work with foreign languages? Does it auto translate while keeping the original for reference? And I'll take that one if you want. Currently, while we are able to create filters and flags in foreign language, for example, here in the US, Canada's just to our north, and we have a fair amount of customers there. So they're required to speak in both French and English. So we've created French filter and flag sets for them, and we put French language scorecards in. And here in the US proper, we have a large Hispanic population that speaks Spanish. So we've also done that with Spanish in the US. But as far as actual translation, we're not there yet. That's something that's on the roadmap, though, that we will actually be able to translate and have those dual versions, but we're not there yet. So I hope that answers your question, Darren. And from here, I'm going to just hop into reporting because we have all this data. We're doing all these things. You can get drowned. You can just get sucked underwater with data and can't see the forest through the trees. So what we've done is we've created a set of standard reports that allow us to help make sense out of what we're doing here. So I have some limitations because this is a demo account, so I need to go back in time so I can make this present like a normal account. But the first report I'm going to discuss is our flag report. Excuse me. So we have two versions here. The first, what we're going to do in a time period, we're going to let you know how many times each of these pieces of conversation happen. So for example, I have a deceased flag. I'm sorry, I gotta refresh that. My mouse isn't actually wanting to cooperate with me this morning. I apologize. I don't think it got enough sleep. There we go. So in my deceased, I can see I have 3 instances of deceased. When I click deceased, it'll give me a list of the agents that have those calls with deceased discussions. I can choose then an agent. I can then choose a call. It's going to open it up for me. I just roll down on my flags to find my deceased language, click that, and very quickly I'm able to get right into those pieces of a call that matter from the report. So the top report starts with the type of interaction. The bottom report starts with an agent. So I can choose an agent, and this gives me the insight into that specific agent and all of the flags on their calls. So for example, this one for bankruptcy, I can click that call lines and I can go out and listen to those calls as well. So we're making everything very simple to follow the dots and get managers where they need to be in those calls very, very quickly. From conversation analytics, I'm going to go into those learning opportunities because we do want to be able to track what our agents are doing and if they're improving. So again, I'm just going backwards in time a little. So I'm going to choose my agent. And while I had done a learning opportunity from a conversation, anywhere we have a transcript, you're able to create learning opportunities. So you can create them from the evaluations if you wanted to send those to agents. But in my conversations, my agent has 153 learning opportunities. And we can see that one that's here at the top is the one we just did earlier today. So we're letting managers know these things if they're completed. And I always encourage clients, it's something I don't do in my demo account because I'm trying to show people, hey, this is the one we just did. But historically, you probably want to have standardized titles for your learning opportunities, because what you're able to do is you can sort the opportunity titles and find your agents, hey, are they getting better after I've coached them on this, or am I continuing to have to coach? Because here I did it October 3rd, October 20th. I continue to coach Emma and she still keeps getting this wrong. So you can get into that history where you may have to have that heart-to-heart with an agent for maybe not actually taking it heed of what you want them to ingest from your learning opportunities. And then for scorecards, we also have reporting. And there's a lot of reports here. For me, there's 2 out of the 4 here that are really beneficial. The others are great, but this one gives me my agents, what their passing targets are, what their scores are, how many evaluations, and I can drill into my agents. But we also give you reports like question quality. So for me, I like this report a lot as an operator. And I'm just going into a scorecard. And if you remember, we have different sections of a scorecard. And I have to ask you to use a little imagination because my agents in my demo account are great. So they really pass everything. And I'm going to have to actually pretend that, they didn't pass something. So I'm going to go into quality and we're going to pretend that this is really 0.97 on the please and thank you language. But I can click that specific question and see which agents they're doing. We'll just pretend that's like a 0.07. I can quickly find if I have 20 agents and 1, maybe 2 are continually missing that question, that's definitely an individual agent problem. But if I have 16 or 15 out of 20 missing a question, as an operator, I probably want to go back to my training department to discuss this topic because I have too many agents missing it. So we give you a lot of granularity here. And we have this same report for the SMART evaluations. It's the exact same set of reports. It just works on those AI completed ones. And then lastly, I'm going to just touch on sentiment here. And I'm going to go back way longer than we've had it, but it's just, I get so used to just clicking this February 23 that it's easier. On the top half, in the time period we're looking at, we're going to aggregate the consumer side of the conversation. So there were 21 calls. The consumers were positive 4.75, 4.76. They were neutral, almost 81. And they were negative 14% of the time. The bottom half is my agent and how they responded in those. So my agent being 10% negative, for me, that's excessive. So I can look at my agent and we're going to give those calls, but I can then come to my dominant sentiment, sort by that, and I can quickly get into those calls where my agent may have gone off the rails and provide that coaching. So overall, in a nutshell, that's a look at our workforce optimization platform. And Em, do we have any other questions?
Yes, I think some have come through. Kath, can you see those? The questions there? Thank you for that, Scott. That was awesome.
Yeah, I've seen the questions that Darren has sent, which I think have been answered.
Yeah.
But we have a few more. If you just give me a second. Okay, here's one. Is everything we just saw included in the pricing for workforce optimization?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
it is. I'm sorry, Em, go ahead.
Yeah. I was just going to say, I get asked that a lot, actually. So yeah, it is in a nutshell. But you charge for per hour of recording with Workforce Optimization, and then you get all of this included: scorecards, flags, filters, the whole works. So in a nutshell, yes.
Yes, that's great. I've got another one here. Can we run this only on some of our calls and conversations?
I'll take that one. So essentially, it's an all on or all off platform. Now, I do have customers here in the US where they have different divisions of agents within their organization, and they only want to use it on maybe, say, the third party bad debt side. They don't want to use it on their first party. Typically, what we can do is create a second account for that customer in TCN Operator, because it doesn't cost to do that. And then we turn conversation analytics on that third party side for them, and we leave it off. So there are some ways that we can segregate that piece if it's needed, but it does require different TCN accounts. Otherwise, in an instance of TCN Operator, it's all on or all off, and it's based on the recorded hours per month.
Okay. And how long does it take to set up once someone decides to move forward with workforce optimization?
We're very aggressive. As soon as we get these customizations back from a customer so that we can build it the way they want it, so it's meaningful out of the box as opposed to a generic solution, we're going to have that done in less than 7 days.
Great. And then I've got one more. How quickly does the system process the analysis on calls or conversations?
And that does vary. I've seen calls be completed in as short as 5-6 minutes after the agent leaves wrap up, and I have seen an occasional instance where there's an extremely long call and there's a lot of calls being transcribed and analyzed at the same time. It could take 45-50 minutes to actually get completed because it is a post-call solution. It is not live.
Okay. So I think that's all the questions that we've got. And so I think we've run through everything. We have got a few more examples from a real life case study, which we will send along with you, along with the webinar after when we get the recording. So please keep an eye out for that recording and the link to that case study, which will be available soon. Or you can contact your TCN account manager. You can always contact Emma directly to learn more about workforce optimization, conversational analytics, redaction, or any other of TCN's enabled solutions. And if you do have a question that you've thought of afterwards, and you haven't had it answered, thank you, Andy. He said, great webinar, very informative. Thanks for that, Andy. But if you do think of a question following the webinar, please do reach out to the UK team via email and we will get that answered. So that's about it. And we are very grateful for you joining us, and look out for the recording in your email. Thank you for coming.